Hi, guys. It's me, Carolyn, on Who Gave Jeff Allen a Podcast. I don't know how to break bad news, but this episode you're about to listen to, shortly after this was recorded, our sweet friend Jen Fulwiler got some heartbreaking news about her daughter, who's mentioned in this episode, Lane. She really needs your prayers. Oh, it's going to make me cry. Shortly after Jen left here, her daughter had a headache and went to the hospital and found out she had a large brain tumor and had to have surgery, and now she's on radiation and chemotherapy. So one, we could really use your prayers. Two, follow Jen Fulwiler and give her hope and prayers and send her messages of encouragement. If you would like to help her family, the Patreon is patreon.com/thisisjen, THISISJEN, and you can get all of that information on her social media at Jen Fulwiler. But thoughts and prayers for her family. Please enjoy this episode. You're going to fall in love with Jen just like we did. God bless you guys. Stay safe.
Who gave me a podcast? This is Jeff Allen. Welcome to my podcast.
Hi, guys. Welcome to this episode of Who Gave Jeff Allen a Podcast with me, Carolyn Xavier. I know I say it every time. I still have a job. And this time, I got a little bit more, maybe like another 4 weeks in the can with this guest. This is going to be a great guest. We have stand-up comic Jennifer Fulwiler. If you haven't heard of her, which I'm sure you have, you can go to YouTube and watch her special, Shabby Chic. It's phenomenal. It had me dying laughing, especially for us liturgical girls. It was killing me. It was killing me. And you can also see her. She's on tour all over the country. She has a beautiful podcast that I am now a big fan of called Jennifer Fulwiler Show. Anyways, we're so happy you're here.
I am so excited to be here. This is very exciting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take care of that. You might want to hold that for 60 minutes or so.
We'll see. Yeah, by the end of it, I'll just be walking up.
Yeah, I want to warn you ahead of time. We asked for comments on our show, and Carolyn just shared with me that we tend to interrupt our guests.
Oh.
Just
good.
want you to know, you got to be on fire. You got 2 ADDs here.
Wait, make it 3.
We may be talking about automobiles, and the next second gym shoes. So you just got to follow us. That's all.
I got it. I think it's a requirement to be a stand-up comic that you have ADHD. So yeah. I feel like I fit right in.
It's a must-have. And I'm so excited you're here, but I got to be honest with you. I already have a little bit of a resentment. You have 6 kids. And you're that fit. And I'm still trying to lose the baby weight from my 16-year-old. So I was looking at you online. I was like, 6 kids, I wonder what she's eating. Like, does she work out? How does she do that? Oh, my gosh.
No, it's just a lot of just very unhealthy mentality and
stress.
No, I was a child of the 90s. So you remember the 90s, the heroin chic, all that. Just a lot. We had very poor body image, in my formative years. So, yeah.
Well, I want you to know that you're not heroin chic. You're so much nicer than
Well, that's nice.
I never thought, what was she doing in the alley before you came in here? Not even a little bit.
It was funny. My wife was we were on a cruise years ago, and Tammy was into Pilates. So she takes a Pilates class one-on-one with the instructor. And she pats Tammy on the little belly and goes, "So when was the baby born?" She goes,
no.
41 years ago.
Oh.
I actually went downstairs and I said to the lady that was in charge of the whole thing, I go, "We understand you got 19-year-olds that are slim, but their clientele are not."
That is
a little sensitivity. It would be.
That is the number one rule of womanhood. You never, ever ask or assume that a woman is pregnant. I could be in a labor in delivery ward and see a woman, nurses surrounding her. She's screaming, and I would not assume she's pregnant unless she tells me. You never say it. You never.
I made that mistake once. In a club. I leaned down and go, "So what do you do?" She goes, "Do what?" And I went, "Uh-oh."
Oh no. You're like, backtrack.
Right. There's not. You can't take that. Yeah.
Oh, that's brutal. Yeah. I was pregnant and I don't know. Somebody came up to me and was like, "Can I pray for your baby?" And I was like, I wonder how I look that people are like, "Hey, let me get in there."
Right.
Let me pray for your baby. Yeah. There's something weird about Are you a belly toucher after 6 kids? Are you like, oh yeah, I can't wait to...
No, like I touch people's bellies or they touch me? No, neither. No. I assume that I would be tasered if I tried to touch someone's belly, and rightfully so. Like, you can't just touch people.
Yeah, so you live in Austin.
Austin, Texas.
Now,
yes.
when they find out you have 6 kids, because there's a large contingency in Austin that feel the human race is a sporer
Correct.
on the planet.
Correct. Yes.
So-
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, going into an Austin Whole Foods with 6 little kids, they're like, you're breathing our air. Like, it's not good. I did one time after a show, I said I had 6 kids, and a guy with face tattoos, piercings, everything, he walked up to me and he said, hey, do you really have 6 kids? I said, yes. He said, listen, I really respect your alternative lifestyle. So sometimes you get some respect.
Right, exactly. I like that.
So were you going to be 6 kids pre-Catholic or after Catholic? You were like, I got to be.
Oh, no, but, well, pre-Catholic, just finding God. I mean, I was raised atheist, born and raised, and I just thought, I don't want kids. I don't want to get married. I'm doing the whole career woman thing. I never babysat. I never asked to hold people's babies. I was... I didn't know anything about babies. And now having 6 of them, I'm like, yeah, I still don't actually. but yeah, no, I never thought I would be on that track.
So growing up atheist, Jeff and I were both atheists pre-Jesus.
Yeah.
And so what was that 0 to what age when you had your first kid?
I had my first kid at 27.
And that's when the conversion was?
Yeah, it was around that time because you know how it is when you have your first kid, we're all parents here, it something shifts in you where you think, it's fine if I'm screwing up my own life, but that now someone else's life is dependent on me and what I think about the world and the decisions I make. And you think, I think I want to get this right. I might want to reevaluate some of my beliefs.
Yeah, probably a year. Yeah, after I got married. So Ryan was born in January. Same thing.
Yeah.
It was 6 months in, and I had laid hands on my son. I spanked him pretty hard at 6 months, and that broke me. I just thought, even Tammy said, "What kind of human being does this?" And that's when you realize, like, yeah, I can't keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's people that rely on me for this,
right.
And it was a long time before I committed my life to Christ, but it was the searching started.
Yeah.
There has to be more than this.
Right.
But did you decide to have a big family?
No, it was, I'm so grateful to God that I sort of didn't have a long-term plan. It was really just kind of a year to year,
What are the ages?
Oldest is just actually this weekend turns 21, and then youngest is 12. I had 6 and 8 years, just one after another. So
That's a plan. I've talked to different people who have multiple children. Some wanted to wait. Mm-hmm. And others just said, get it over with.
Yeah.
So when you think about 6 times 9 is 54 months.
Yeah.
So 4.5 years you were pregnant.
Yeah. It was a lot. It just became, I think it becomes a lifestyle. You can optimize on anything if you do it enough. And just having little kids and babies, it was just, it got to the point that I forgot that there was a different kind of life that anyone could be living. It's like, this is just my alternative lifestyle now.
Yeah,
so,
that's amazing.
And one thing that kind of helps people understand is I am an only child. My husband is an only child. My father was an only child. And my mom had siblings, but she did not have first cousins. She also came from kind of a small family. So I always said we're at the tail end of a demographic apocalypse. I mean, both of us.
You're not even replacing yourself.
Right. I mean, our family trees were becoming stumps. It was depressing. Like, we had to do something about this. So, because, like when my husband and I are gone, I mean, our kids will only have each other. They don't have cousins. They don't have aunts. They don't have uncles. So it's nice that they have each other.
Yeah, Tammy told me in a more lucid moment that she would have had more kids with me if she knew I was going to turn out the way I turned out to be.
Oh, right. It was,
and
we're all a little rough.
Yeah, I looked for a while for a compliment in that statement, but so I knew it was in there somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
But yeah, all she wanted to be was a mom.
Oh, I love that.
And she just, again, she married me and realized, when I married her, she had a 2-year-old from some other loser, and then here we're like a year in, and I'm doing nasty. She probably looked at herself and said, "What is wrong with me?
You know what,
I keep
though?
attracting these things?"
2 losers does make a rat.
Wow, that's it. I guess that's it.
You did.
That's
That cancel each other out.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your testimony. I watched it online. It was phenomenal. I watched it on YouTube.
Oh, great.
You can watch Jennifer Fulwiler's testimony on YouTube. Okay.
Yes.
So the basics I got was you were raised atheist. I mean, like staunch atheist. You have your first child. You look down and the love you felt, you're like, this is so much more than what I've come to believe my whole life. So what I would like to ask you is, how do you go from that to Catholic? Because in America, that's like a... Yeah. Well, I feel like you and I might both have a little bit of an Irish heritage.
Yes, I do. Very much. Yeah. Fulwiler is my husband's last name. Yeah. I've got
I could feel it.
Yeah. My mother's maiden name is Garrity, very Irish, background there. So I basically, my conversion it's very nerdy. I read a lot of books, and I really got into some of the very early Christian philosophers like Aquinas and Augustine, and I just really resonated with what they had to say, and I just with it kind of a bunch of reading and research, I first became convinced that Jesus is who he says he is. And then from there, I just kind of kept reading and ended up Catholic. And my husband converted as well. When we got married, the only thing we had in common in terms of faith is that we were both anti-Catholic. So that was a big Christmas newsletter that year when we sent that one.
By the way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So because he was Christian already, right?
Kind of non-practicing. I mean, he was Christian, but just wasn't doing any
He's from
Christian.
Texas, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Houston. So
That's the law.
yes, exactly. Right. You got to be
Like
Southern
Texas.
Baptist. Right. Yep.
Is that the faith tradition he grew up in?
Yeah, Southern Baptist. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when you walk into your first Catholic Mass, had you already read a bunch and then you walk into Mass and you're like, what is happening here?
Right. That's exactly what happened. I mean, I'd never been to church with my parents other than for funerals or weddings or something. I had never seriously attended a church service. I guess actually my mother-in-law took me to Joel Osteen's church in Houston. So I went from Joel Osteen's church to a Catholic Mass. And it was I was like, what is this? Like, this is very different than Joel Osteen's church.
Yeah, it was funny when our first church that Tammy and I attended together was a Methodist church, and the guy took a Peanuts cartoon out of a folder and did a whole message on being good to one another based on the Peanuts cartoon.
Oh, wow. All right, well, they didn't do that at the Catholic Mass.
But we were so, I thought, wow, how nice.
Yeah.
And he remembered our name the next Sunday. Oh, Jeff, Tammy. And that was it. We were hooked. We were his congregants.
That's amazing.
And then, we moved here, and then we just started looking for more. Paul calls it, you started as babies drinking milk, and then you needed solid food.
Yeah.
So basically we needed more solid food. But it is interesting when you kind of walk in,
Yeah, right.
You think, do they know?
Right. I know. Do you feel like there's like a TSA, like the atheist detector? You're going to set it off like beep, beep,
Yeah,
beep. You cannot walk through this door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't know. Again, you're dealing with all the prejudice that you had all these years to justify your atheism.
Yep.
And then you walk in and you realize, actually, they're kind of nice people. And, they're friendly and smiley. And, I don't mind being here.
And then there's the moment you think, am I one of them? Am I one of them?
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. When did you stop making, or did you stop making again, I'm old, trying to think of the word, but the justification for your new faith, so that you could tell people outside that were close to you, I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
This is what I believe, but you know what? I'm not going to change. I mean,
right. Yeah, it was, it kind of happened suddenly because living in Austin, Texas, and for people who don't know, it's a very progressive city. I think we have like more ayahuasca shamans than pastors in that town. So,
ayahuasca, that's a town in Minnesota.
Yeah, well, now it's something that people are smoking or taking or something. Yeah. And so when you tell people in Austin that you are thinking about becoming Catholic, you don't get a great response. And so at first I was doing the kind of hedging my bets, like, well, I'm just exploring it and all that. And it just, I got such a bad reaction in many, not in all cases, but in many cases that I just leaned into it. I was like, okay, well, I'm Catholic, so everyone has to deal with this now.
Right. She showed up to her next friend's party in a habit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, do an exorcism on some of these people.
There's a holy water.
Yeah. Get a fire hose of holy water in that town.
We call it San Francisco Light.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is. That's very accurate.
Oh, Austin. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's hotter San Francisco, basically.
Yeah, I almost got booed off the stage in the 90s. I'm not political.
Yeah.
But just in the context of my show, didn't fit into the progressive mindset.
Yeah.
And now I realize that calling the woman who I inhabit my home with my wife is a disparaging.
Yes, it's very, very oppressive. Yeah.
Yes, it is. So who knew?
Right. You find out.
Yeah, I told her. I said, "Well, you're entitled to now 3/4 of what we own. If we split for all those years, I abused you by calling you my wife."
Yes, very rude. Very rude.
Being in stand-up, I struggle with this. So I'm Orthodox. It's almost like we're a joke, like an Orthodox, a Protestant, and a Catholic walk into a podcast. But you and I having a different view of salvation than Protestant. It's kind of like this, you're not stamped, you're saved. It's kind of like this moment by moment idea. I struggle a lot with my sense of humor, stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was on a podcast yesterday before we recorded and I said some things and I called my priest after and I was like, I don't know about this. I let my personality out of it.
Being myself again always gets me in trouble.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'll just be sackcloth and ashes the rest of the day. So how do you balance, and especially having being the Catholic comic, having this beautiful following that loves you and you have a voice of those women, how do you balance the reverence, the humility, walking out your salvation alongside this beautiful way God's gifted you and the personality and how sometimes as comics but it was a good joke.
Yeah. Well, I love the way you phrase that. That's a beautiful question. And I think Protestant, Orthodox, or Catholic, one thing we certainly all agree on is that the key to the spiritual life is humility, is not having this big ego and thinking you're so great. And I find that there's just so much material there that is humbling to me. It's just that I could do a few hours of comedy on that, just the ways I've messed up, screwed up, been a bad Catholic, been a not great mother. I mean, there is a wealth of material there. And so I find that when I stick to those subjects, there's so much tension there. I mean, comedy is ultimately about unpacking tension that usually I can kind of stay in that territory that is, I'm not belittling people and it is, and I think we all sense this on stage, that you feel the audience relaxing when they say, gosh, I've screwed up in the same way. I'm an idiot just like Jen, I'm doing the same thing. And I think very often on stage, I feel people's hearts kind of opening, like, gosh, we are all so messed up. And that's okay because God exists and he loves us and it's going to be all right. And so I kind of lean into that side of comedy more than the, what I see in the Austin comedy scene, which is great in many ways. But a lot of times it is belittling other people, insulting people. And I think if you stay out of that territory and stay in your own humility, there's so much material there.
Well, it's funny you say that. I popped into my head. I got a development deal 25 years ago, and I couldn't figure out why, because the audition I bombed. I was part of a 20 comic showcase at the Improv. And when I got to sit with the producer that was going to give me the deal, I said, I'm just curious. Why am I here? And he goes, oh, I was there. I don't even know if you were funny or not. I go, I wasn't. That's why I'm asking. And he said, all I remember was you were smiling. You were the only comic. Wow. And he goes, I remember leaning over. He was 54 at the time. I was 40. He goes, I remember when a time when comics were relatively happy people.
Way back in the day.
Way back in the day.
Yeah,
he started on All in the Family as an intern on All in the Family.
Yeah.
So it taught me something, be true to thyself, Shakespeare, to thy own self, be true. I watched your special, and I sensed that humility, and that that's what my wife laughs at when she watches other women, and the talk about, seeing yourself a target on the camera. My God, there's a vampire that loves the same candles that I do.
Elderly vampire, that can't be me.
Loves the same candles I do. So there is a relationship within. I don't think he made us all that unique, and that's what I've learned. Yeah. The best compliment you probably do. You get that? I'm sure you do. That you were looking. You must be looking through our kitchen window.
Right. People are like, Dad, do you have hidden cameras in our house?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, Foxworthy said something to me once. The first time he did a joke about what happened at his house. He was driving back from the club, and it just hit him. If it happens in my house, maybe it happens in other people's houses.
Yeah.
So that unless people can relate to what you're talking about, then the humor gets lost. And I learn that every Monday at Zany's when I'm in front of 22-year-olds.
Right, same in Austin. Right. The 22-year-olds with face tattoos.
And Blake stares looking at you.
We have
and
no shared
one
experience.
Person in their 50s pounding the table.
They think it's funny enough for all of them.
Right, exactly. And could you explain it to the young people?
Yeah.
And I tell them all the time, 30 years from now, you're going to think back on this moment and go, that old man was funny.
Yep. Write it down, guys. Review this in 20 years. Yeah.
Right. So you've lived in Austin before you were a stand-up. Now you worked on Sirius XM for years.
Right. But I'm old Austin. I'm from an old Austin family. We've been there forever. I went to UT, so I'm old Austin. Yep. But my kids are at A&M, so we're a divided house. Yeah.
That's how they rebelled.
I know, right? That was their big, that was their big rebellion.
Yeah, it's bad enough that our children refused the church that we go to.
Yeah.
But taking that to college, that had to hurt.
Yeah, I know. It's one thing to go to a different church, but to go to A&M versus UT is just, that was a lot. Good. Yeah.
I'm from California, so it's like I need a translator. I'm like, I think they're talking about football again. They do that.
So
I'm
funny.
not sure. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So did your kids end up staying in the liturgical faith? You have one adult kid. Correct.
Well, I've two. I have two that are in college, and so far so good. We're hanging in there. It's good.
We're hanging in.
Yeah, and kids go through ups and downs. I'm sure that maybe some of my kids have some questions or whatever, but I think going from the path that I went to atheism, and I'm pretty relaxed about it if they have questions about the faith. Or years ago, one of my kids said, I don't think I believe in God. And I said, that's okay. This is a normal part of the spiritual life. A lot of great spiritual people. I mean, C.S. Lewis, his book right there, he was an atheist until he became a Christian after World War I. And so I'm pretty relaxed about it if they have doubts or questions. And I say, well, it's true. So, we can talk about it. But I think it might have been C.S. Lewis who said something like the truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. You just have to let it out of its cage. And that's my philosophy with kids and faith.
Yeah. My teenage son, he's like going through that.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to go to that non-denominational church and there was like the kids' room and they had a little concert and he's just kind of like, I don't know, we go here and we stand and it's so much. And
It's a lot of standing over there. And we Catholics, we like to sit and kneel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my joke. I said my bathroom experience is like a Catholic wedding. I'm up, I'm back down, I'm up, I'm back down. I'm up, I'm back down. Man, when am I done?
Yeah. You're practicing, yeah.
Yeah. So the kids embraced it. Now, the 21-year-old at college, and did he share with you? Did he get hammered for his beliefs? Or did he find a group of people that were like-minded and...
You know, it's funny how God works things out for you. He decided to go to A&M at kind of the last minute. College admissions are crazy right now. And the only dorm that was available that was not filled up was this private dorm. We really didn't have a choice. So we said, all right, well, you're going there. Turns out it is next door to the Catholic Student Center that happens to have arguably the biggest young person Catholic population in the country. I mean, it is massive.
Oh, that's a gift.
Yeah, it's a Catholic hotbed. It's crazy.
Yeah. He's going to end up a monk.
You're right. Well, you never know.
Or
you never know.
It's Austin.
Yeah, right. It's Austin. Right. He's from Austin. You never know. So yeah, so it's nice that and then now my daughter who's there as well, they have that just proximity. It's right across the street. It's easy to get there. And he's an engineering student and still, strong in his faith.
So he's thoughtful.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. He is. And Texas A&M has a very, very heavy Christian population. It is normal to be a student at that school and go to church. So that is one nice thing, that the culture there is really good.
Yeah, I remember listening to Ravi Zacharias years ago, and he talked about a college professor on the first day of school announcing to his class, if you are a Christian in this room, I will knock that out of you by the end of this semester. That was his opening statement,
Wow.
And you think of any other belief system in our multicultural society where a educator said to an 18-year-old mind, I'm going to knock that out of you.
Couldn't do it.
You couldn't. You couldn't legally get away with it, but it seems to be open season. So it's great that whatever foundation you laid is solid.
Yeah. And I think so much of it too is like you just gotta trust God. I mean, I don't know that it was me, honestly. Like I think we just messed up so much. And one thing, I was always kind of open about my spiritual life, that I'd have a horrible show or something, or have a difficult time on tour, and I'd be telling my kids, I'd be like, man, I don't know what God is doing here, but I'm just having the worst time. And I think maybe seeing just my failures, they were like, well, Mom has showed us you can really screw up all the time and still walk with God.
Right. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like I want to control everything.
Right.
And it's so hard to just let go and let God.
Yeah.
It can be so difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get into stand-up? Because it's like atheist, Catholic, where does stand-up fit into? And God, how do you do it with 6 kids?
Yeah, not well. It's the balancing act is not easy. So it's funny. I don't often tell this story, but I'm not sure if I've ever told it. But I'll tell you guys because you would understand. Yeah, you guys would understand. It's just so weird to non-believers that I just kind of gloss over this part of my stand-up story. But so I'd been on Sirius XM. I'd written books. I'd shared my testimony everywhere. So I had a strong background in doing kind of humorous public speaking, but it was not stand-up. And on Sirius XM, the people who listened said, we like your humor. That's why we listen. I heard that a lot. So that was kind of in the back of my mind. But there was just this one day. It was June 6th of 2018. I read about there's this designer, Kate Spade. She actually had a Catholic background. She was a designer. Right. I liked her stuff. And she actually she committed suicide, unfortunately.
Right.
And she was a mom. She had like a 12-year-old child. And I just sat there. You know how sometimes a public tragedy, one will hit you more. It's like you were meant to connect with that one. And for some reason, that one really hit me. And I was just so low about it and devastated. And I just kind of asked God, I was like, man, I wish I'd known her. I wish I'd gosh, how bad do you have to feel to make that decision, especially as a mom? And in that moment, I was sitting there, I was at my desk. I'd just gotten off the air. I can't explain it, guys. God just told me, you are going into stand-up comedy. This is it. You're not doing anything else with your career in terms of work. This is it. And from that moment forward, I have not looked back. I went to an open mic that night. And you know how it is when God calls you to do something, you see these signal graces, just doors open that should not open. The very first stand-up comedy thing I ever walked into, it was an open mic. And I talked to this girl who was there. I said, what do we do? What's an open mic? What do we do here? That girl to this day is still one of my best friends in comedy. I ended up booking my own tour. I rented theaters with my personal credit card. We would have been in bankruptcy if I had not sold tickets. And one of the only reasons it worked is because that girl who I met on the very first day I walked into a stand-up comedy open mic, she was young. She was like 24 and free. And so for a very low price, she went with me, and she could not only open, but she could be my assistant. She could be my tour manager. And it was just one God thing after another from that moment. So
what was your show on XM?
It was on the Catholic channel, which is they're not heavily religious. They try to do more like lifestyle, the average person. They're based in New York City. They're New York City Catholics. Right. And so it was kind of just about family life. I mean, I would talk about everything from hip hop, but like I actually really like hip hop music, so I'd talk about that. But just
when I saw you walk through the door,
you thought immediately.
I saw the signs.
Yeah. You're like, this is who we should talk to about hip hop culture, right? Everyone thinks that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But so you do like hip hop.
I genuinely, I really do.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I know actually a lot about hip hop culture. So I would talk about whatever, but just kind of from a Catholic lens. And it was great. I really enjoyed my time on that show.
Yeah, that's great.
That's beautiful.
But you were renting out theaters, and obviously you didn't go bankrupt. So
I did 14 shows, and all but one sold out. I need to talk to the people of Charlotte, North Carolina. But it was, we got it like 90% sold. And another really interesting thing is two things. That as stand-ups, you guys will find this interesting. I was able to write an hour of comedy that turned out pretty well. It's the special is called The Naughty Corner. You can look that up. It's from sending your kids to the naughty corner. I realize if you search that on Amazon, that Amazon sells a real wide variety of products that I did not understand.
The FBI will be triggered.
Yeah. But Amazon Prime picked it up and everything. And I wrote that hour in just a matter of months. I guess because I had a backlog from all my public speaking. But the big thing was, I wanted to tour. Everyone said, just tour later. Don't rush into this. And I said, I know, I hear that, but God's telling me to do this tour right now. I can't explain it. That was fall of 2019 going into spring of 2020. Everybody said, just start your tour in summer of 2020. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, that would have worked out.
My last show was 1 week before the world shut down. Oh, wow. And so that was just another God thing. I had many conversations with people where they said, you're rushing this tour. Why not just wait? And because I had been relatively new in stand-up, I don't think I would have continued in the career. If I had not started before lockdown started, I don't know that I would have kept with it. So that was yet another God thing.
That's interesting. I remember working with young comics way back, and one of them said to me, I said, what are your plans? I'd always ask, I think, well, I'm going to go to L.A. be a writer. I go, well, knock yourself out. And a year and a half later, I see his name on the, Frasier.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then he ended up show running, I think, Modern Family. And, again, if you have focus and you have a plan, and you are in line with your creator.
Yep.
I think, like you said, those doors, all of a sudden you look back in hindsight and go, holy cow, had I zigged here, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. I know. And you think it had to be God.
And then to think that the last show ended right before the world shut down. And you're right. I don't know of anybody who would have started in the spring of 2020.
Yeah. No.
Would have been able to even, because I think we met, you said in Colorado.
Right.
Or no,
in Omaha.
Omaha.
Yeah.
After 2021.
Yeah.
So they had just opened up, usually at half capacity or quarter capacity.
Right.
Were the rooms.
Right. Depending on what city you were in. There were some in Texas.
Yeah, my manager called me from Florida in the middle of COVID and goes, my gosh, everything's open.
Yeah.
I'm sitting outside in a bar, we're drinking it. It was like,
I always joke, I'm like, listen, in Texas, quarantine was a very hard day. It was, that was a rough day for us.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So, do you think there's a difference? Because I know, in my own, if I look at old videos, my rhythm, my cadence, my pauses, even how I structure things now is different than what I did maybe even 10 years ago.
Very much.
So 6 years, you look back and do you go, boy, I wish I could do that stuff again? Or
yeah, well, a lot changed. And in fact, a story I think you guys will like is I think all of us had a little bit of a different style after lockdown because we had to just kind of sit around and think and reflect. And in my first show after lockdown, I was at this club and the headliner let me have a few minutes on their show. I bombed as hard as I've ever bombed in my life because I had just gotten off a plane, and I've since stopped drinking, but I had a little bit to drink on the plane. I was really out of it, and I hadn't been on a comedy club stage.
I didn't know they had sacramental wine.
I know, right? Well, there was. I called a priest over. Yeah,
oh, okay.
And bombed as hard as I've ever bombed in my life, and the owner of the club actually walked up to me and said, "It's okay." Afterwards, like it was that bad, and people were coming up after the show, and to the headliner, they'd be like, "You're amazing," and they turned to me and say, "Where did you say you were from again?" And then that made me realize, like, I think we all need to kind of rethink comedy. But anyway, that was your show. You gave me a few minutes on your show. I bombed as hard as I've ever bombed. And then, worse for me, I have to sit through your show and watch you just crush. I almost quit comedy. I really did. I was sitting in the back of the room praying. I was like, I don't think God called me to this. I think that it was a mistake, and I should have never done this. Because, I mean, we were all screaming. You had that audience, not just laughing, but like gasping for breath laughing. And you did a long set. It was like 90 minutes. I was texting my husband. I was like, "Oh, I'll never be at this guy's level. I need to quit. This is just like..." And so anyway, you actually were a big part of my comedy story because I went back to my hotel and I actually got on my knees in the hotel room. I was like, "God, I don't think I'm meant to do this," because that was very bad, my performance. But then it turned out when I had my own show.
But you are your own audience.
Right.
It makes a big difference.
It really did. Oh, actually, so a great little postscript on that. So I did have my own show the next night, and it was such a great confirmation because my show went so well because I had a new mentality after bombing when I was on your show. It went so well that for the first time ever, this has not happened before or since, the audience rose to their feet and gave me a standing ovation. And get this is Omaha Funny Bone, so you know that stage is small and it is elevated. I was in my Miss America, like, yes, thank you. And humility, I was like, I am kind of a comedy genius, honestly, yes. I fell off the stage. I walked off. I have an audio recording of this.
Oh, that's good.
The stage is like this high.
Right, exactly.
I hit so hard. The worst part, guys, you guys know his comments? They stopped the standing ovation because everyone was worried about me. Yeah. I'm on the ground like, "No, guys, no, please stay on your feet. I'm fine. I'm fine."
Soaking this in.
Yeah. I mean, I was actually truly injured, and in the next show, I had all these aches and pains. The owner wanted me to stop the show and go to the ER. It was a whole thing.
Oh, wow.
So, but your show really set me on a new path in comedy. So thank you for giving me that 5 minutes of time.
You're welcome.
And I'm sorry I bombed, but I made you look even better. So.
No, I didn't even. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You bombed her into sobriety.
Yes, I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
But I'll tell you, I know, and you know, that the difference between having the people who are familiar with you and they're actually. It's always was a dream of mine to get to a point where people would look at an ad and go, "Oh, I want to go see him."
Yeah.
To spend the money that they work so hard for, and then to get in the car, spend the gas, all that stuff to come and see you. And So I go into Zanies on Monday nights and bomb horrifically on a regular basis.
It's good for the soul.
Well, that's kind of what my wife said to me, you know, because I said, I don't think I want to go there anymore. It's really uncomfortable. And she said, it's good for you.
Yeah.
You know,
It is.
And it is.
It is.
It's like, so those nights that I do win them over,
Right.
I've earned.
Right.
I know that. I go, then I've connected to a generation that would look at somebody my age and immediately dismiss me because I'm my age. I mean, I was young once. I get that, you know, the old geezer. So that's kind of the first thing I acknowledge. I'm very aware that I'm old, you know. So
that's funny.
You know, because they'd be sitting there, I go, does he know he's old?
Like, is he, yeah, you could, like that meme, walk out there, hello, fellow kids.
Yeah. So the fact that you love hip hop, I'm still going to go back to
that's
that.
so funny. Yeah.
That's so funny to me because it's like I remember having a conversation with my son. He was listening to the really angry hip hop. I mean, really bad. And I sat him down, I remember, and said, look, I'm not going to be one of those fathers that tell you what to listen to or not listen to. But all art should feed a part of your soul.
Mm-hmm.
All art.
Yeah.
If you're going to pour it into your soul, it should feed a part of it. I said that music was written by a group of people who have felt that the entire society has had their boot on their neck since birth. Mm-hmm. They are hitting back at society. As my son, raised in a white suburban enclave.
Yeah.
What are you hitting back at? I'm just curious.
That's so funny. Like, what is your struggle?
I love the blank look on their face. And 2 days later, I'm walking by his room. He's listening to Aerosmith.
Oh, that's so funny.
It was very funny.
Yeah.
So I started singing along, and he says to me, "You know these people?"
Do you know these people? Aerosmith.
I don't want to say anything, but I almost impregnated 4 different dates to this music.
Yeah. Well, see, if you told your son that, he'd stop listening to
exactly.
Aerosmith.
That just grossed him out. So what is it about hip hop that attracts you?
I think I like I like hearing about the struggle, even if it's not my struggle. I like the rhythm of it. Maybe it's an Irish thing. My cousin was actually a hip hop DJ. You know, it's also from the Garrity, from the Irish side of the family. So I don't know. Maybe
There's
it's
an Irish
that
thing with our people where if you have a kick drum and a solid bass beat, we're like, this is our people's music.
Right. Well, it's interesting. There was a hip hop Christian artist named Lecrae.
Oh yeah.
I read his book, and I started listening to his music. And you're right. There's a poetry to it. There's a story to it.
Right.
And again, the stuff I had heard, again, what my son was listening to, was not stories that I could relate to.
Yeah.
So who are the people you listen to that you feel a connection?
You know, it's more on a kind of per song basis, because almost all hip hop artists, they will go into territory that it's like, this is too much, even for me. But like Lil Wayne, for example, he is nominally Catholic. He's from New Orleans. And a lot of these guys, I think what I find interesting about them is that they came from truly nothing. I mean, nothing. And they bring their story of overcoming difficulty into their music. Like 50 Cent, for example, he's one of the best success memoirs I have ever read about just overcoming difficulty. I found it so inspiring. He didn't know his dad. His mother was killed in a drug deal when he was like 9 or 10 years old. Very chaotic home with his grandparents. He finally got a record deal. This is the big, it's going to make him famous. This is the big thing. Then he gets shot 9 times and the record deal is canceled. He's recovering from being shot 9 times. He has no money. And, anyone else would have given up, would have just said, like, this is it. You know, this fate's against me. And he said, I will not do it. And he went out jogging to rehabilitate himself. He couldn't afford rehab or anything, knowing that the guys who shot him 9 times might want to come back and finish the job. And he eventually did a record with a different record company that became the, Indie Club, that everyone knows that one. And so I hear that story when I listen to his music.
Wow.
And I do kind of mentally tune out some of that, like, you shouldn't be doing that, 50. But I hear that story in the music, the story of struggle. And I think I might also relate to it that I moved a lot as a child. We moved almost every year, and I'm an only child, and I was very, very awkward, kind of, ugly duckling, like awkward kid. And I'd never really had friends. You didn't have siblings. And my childhood was very isolated. I was always on the outside looking in, always, of society. And I think I feel that in hip hop, even though my struggle's not the same, but I know what it feels like to look at mainstream American society and think, I don't think I'm welcome in those circles.
You don't fit.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, because you are literally my only connection to the hip hop world.
Yeah, that's right. Well, all right, that's a lot of responsibility.
So,
yes.
Does the story change as they become successful and wealthy and mainstream?
It does.
Because that first hour of comedy is different than
right.
The
story does change. And what's interesting is I think as I have grown up in life, some of the artists I like, their struggles have been more relatable to mine, that it's business struggles, like Drake is a famous hip hop artist, and he very famously got in a big, huge fight with Kendrick Lamar, who's another artist. And a lot of it involved record labels. And there was Drake wrote a song that I thought was so funny, where he was speaking to Kendrick Lamar, and he said, "Drop and give me 50." 50, the implication there being push-ups.
Yeah. But
Drake had found out that Kendrick's management was taking a 50% cut of his deals. As someone who's also an entertainer, I'm like, 50%, come on.
Yeah.
So this whole song, and it became a big hit, Drake kept saying, "Drop and give me 50. Just like you give your manager 50, give me 50.
Right.
And I think that's very fun and funny.
Yeah.
And as someone, again, who's in entertainment, I thought that song was just hilarious.
Yeah. Did he have Lenny as a manager?
Right. Yeah. You're like, I think it was.
Yeah. Wow, it's fascinating to me. I had a brief foray with Lecrae, and are you familiar with him?
Yeah, he's great.
And his story?
I don't know his story. I know his music better than I know his story.
And it was interesting. The foreword was by a fellow Texan, Nancy Piercy.
Oh yeah.
Are you familiar with Nancy?
I know the name.
Yeah, and she's an apologist. Wrote with Chuck Colson, How Then Shall We Live?
Okay.
It's a great book based on Schaeffer's book, How Now Shall We Live?
Oh, yeah.
If God does not exist, then how shall we live? It's a great book. I found the two of them, Lecrae and Nancy Piercy. She's a professor at the University of Houston.
Oh, cool.
And he's a hip hop artist.
Yeah, that's an interesting combo.
The connection.
Right.
Where he was familiar with her work, and they became friends. And so that's what kind of led me to listening to some. And again, it was so many years ago, I can't quite remember. But he talked about in his book that was his babysitter, was hip hop music.
Yeah.
Again, coming from a broken home, he would go into his room and take these stories in and relate.
Yeah.
And it became a religion, kind of a comfort.
Yeah.
Again, I ask you, what comfort do you get? What got you into hip hop? I mean, again, I'm fascinated.
I've always loved it. I mean, since the first, from Young MC back in the 80s and those guys, Digital Underground, I mean, the mainstream, I just liked the sound of it. I like the rhythm of it. And one of the things, as I grew in my faith journey, hip hop is, on the one hand, there is certainly a lot of, immoral content in it, but it is one of the most theistic genres of music. You do not hear a lot of atheism in hip hop. And I did find that interesting as a believer too, that a lot of these guys, they're talking about all sorts of immorality. But at the end of the day, they're like, God's looking out for me. God's got me. And I thought that's interesting that they're a real mess. I mean, they're a serious mess, but they would never deny God. And I found that interesting. And so just the rhythm of it and the story of it, there is a lot of storytelling in hip hop, and stories of struggle and of difficulty and of enemies and, people doing you wrong and that sort of thing.
Well, all cultures, all subcultures have to have rules.
Yeah, right. That's true.
To exist. There has to be some sense of order.
Yeah.
Even amidst the chaotic
that's
subculture.
True. That's true.
There has to be. And I remember growing up in Chicago, there were the Italian enclaves that were initially, basically, the law was the Dons. When they first got over in the early 19th century, they didn't look to the United States government for laws.
Right.
They had settlements, disputes were settled by the Dons. So now you get into this hip hop culture where all of a sudden billions of dollars are flowing, and there are no rules necessarily. At the beginning, there weren't. It was a free fall. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Again, I look at the successful hip hop artists like 50 Cent and go, has your worldview changed?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to talk about the struggle again.
Right.
Are you posing at this point?
Yeah.
There were some comics, and I won't mention names, that I knew grew up in upper middle class households in Long Island, and they played the streetcar.
I'm from the streets.
Right. And we all sat in the back and went,
really?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually think that's a struggle both in music and in comedy. Sometimes I've wondered, like, the good Lord has blessed me not to be doing arenas and auditoriums. I'm not rich and famous, thank goodness, because comedy is ultimately about tension. And sometimes, when I've seen my peers, like, they're making millions of dollars just on one leg of their tour, I think, what are you talking about in comedy? And where's the tension in your life? Your investment manager took too long to call you back. I mean, where's the tension?
Right.
Growing up, I wanted to go back to you growing up. Did you move around a lot because your parents were in the military, or was there just a lot of movement?
No, my dad was an engineer, and he oversaw large construction projects, and one metropolitan area only has so many of those. So moved everywhere from Phoenix to North Dakota, West Virginia. I mean, just no glamorous places, because he built refineries.
North Dakota's not glamorous.
Yes. yeah, exactly.
Fargo,
I will tell you, I love the Dakotas, best people out there. But yeah, they don't build refineries in Beverly Hills. So we lived in refinery towns. And I do think my dad's atheism played a part in that. It was hard to move a lot, and God works everything out, but that was a hard thing, and I do feel like that was a way that his atheism negatively impacted me, because without that sense of fulfillment within him, it was like every year this was going to be the job. This was going to be the job that makes, that's going to satisfy him. And so we'd pick up, I'd lose all my new friends that I just made. We'd move. And, this is before the internet. There's no texting. There's long distance phone calls you had to pay for. And so we'd start over, and it was, and within me, I was like, my dad's finally going to be happy now. This is the job. This is the one that he's been waiting for. And
wow, you didn't have a sibling to
nothing
bounce all this off of?
No one to talk to.
I remember sitting in the living room with my kids one day, and something happened on TV, and my youngest son said, wow, I can't imagine that. And my oldest said to him, try 4 different schools in 5 years. And I looked at Tammy and said, oh, I guess they noticed.
Oh, wow.
And we had just moved here. We've been here 27 years, but we moved a lot. And
to hear that as a parent.
Well, it was. And it just so offhandedly. It wasn't like he was accusing us of anything. He just threw it out. And as a parent, you go, it does. That stability is so important.
Yeah. And I think my parents' generation just they just didn't know. I mean, he really did his best, and so did my mom, but they just didn't understand.
Yeah, that's my answer. I knew what I knew, and I didn't. We moved to salve the wounds of our marriage. Those were the geographical cures we did, but we didn't know. I mean, it'll be better here, like you said.
Yeah.
This is the one,
right? But you can't move away from yourself.
That's it. You pack all the baggage up.
Yep.
Internal, external, all of it. And you bring it to another town.
Yep.
But no coincidence that we gave our life to Christ, turned our marriage over to Christ, and we've been in the same place 27 years.
That's not a coincidence.
Not a coincidence.
The same year that my husband and I gave our lives to Christ and we became Catholic and all that, that was the same year we bought our little 1,900 square foot 3-bedroom house in 2007. We are still in that house. Yeah. Same thing.
It's amazing.
All of the stability. And are your parents living? How did they take the break? I'm Catholic now.
My dad passed away actually 3 weeks before I filmed my first comedy special. Unexpectedly.
That hurt.
Yeah, especially as an only child. It was the night before my Atlanta show on this self-booked tour. I couldn't cancel the show. I just had too much money on the line, honestly.
Right.
And so I got the call at 2 a.m. and I had to go up and do the show the next day.
So it was sudden.
Very sudden. Yeah, wow. We just had dinner with him. It was an internal bleeding issue that didn't seem like that was a big deal.
How did you process that?
I don't know that I have. I'll be totally honest. I don't know that I really have. I don't know that I ever did process it. I was very busy because I was about to film that first comedy special, and I had 6 little kids, and I think I just did that thing where it's like I'm very busy and I don't have time to think about it. And to this day, that was 2019. I don't know that I've ever really sat with it.
Wow. Yeah, my dad. I got a call. I was in Louisiana, and my dad was living with my sister in Dallas. You need to come, Dad. He was at her house hospicing, and about an hour from their house, I got a call from my sister. Said, "Don't rush, Dad's gone."
How old were you?
I was 40s.
Yeah,
that's
young.
Maybe in my 50s.
That's still young. That's still young.
Oh, my dad was 81, but I was in my 50s. So anyway, the reason I mention it is because it was months later. I was in my garage, and we had put a little booklet together on stories that we remember about Dad, and my sister put them in a little booklet. And I saw it in my garage, and I picked it up, and I sat down and started reading it, and Tammy walked in. I was just sobbing. And she said, what's going on? And I said, my dad's gone. She goes, "You just noticed."
I've got some news for you. That was,
It was a while ago. But that's kind of how I process tragedy.
Yeah.
I initially deflect and find distractions, and then somewhere. I remember when, and again, we're going to get notices on this because I'm taking over the conversation. But,
no, I think people want that. I really.
But when Columbine happened, we were at the the GMA Awards here, and we got home, and Tammy put it on the news, watching it because it was nonstop.
Yeah.
And I'm opening mail and separating stuff, and Tammy goes, "Can you imagine?" I finally looked at her after about the 8th time she said, "Can you imagine being one of these parents?" I said, "No, I don't. I don't want to."
Right.
2-3 months later, she was out of town. I came into an empty house, and it hit me like a freight train. Those parents are coming home to empty houses.
Oh,
yeah.
And I fell on my knees in the living room, and I prayed for those parents, and I prayed for those souls of those kids. Even the ones that did the shooting, I just said, "My Lord." So grief, everybody handles it in a different way. I feel for you that your father didn't get a chance to see your first special.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how my dad handled, my father. He threw compliments around like manhole covers. I mean, He did it, but it was laborious. You know. So anyway, he tells me one day, he goes, I was surfing the other night on TV. I saw you on TV. I go, really? You know, he goes, I said, what was I doing? He goes, stuff I heard. I just moved on. And I go, why to your kid? For God's sake.
Right. Oh, it was brilliant.
50 years old. I'm still your son.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But that was Dad. He goes, you know, he came out to see me a couple times. Yeah, you know.
I guess that's that generation. I mean, they struggled so much. It's like, I think they just thought everything these young people do it's easy compared to what we went through.
Yeah, he never, you know, good for you, but man, you're not funny. You know.
I guess it is hard to see your kids that way. That's
I don't know. You know. And anyway, my kids wanted nothing to do with it. So, do your kids want anything to do with it?
No.
Nothing.
No. Yeah, no, they're not interested in it.
Really?
Which is good for them. I mean, I think I'm very open with my kids about the ups and downs of this line of work, and I think there's no glamour in it for them. You know, they don't think, oh, that would be so glamorous to be on stage as a stand-up comic, because they know about all the different.
Well, that's got to be one of the things that really shines, is how unglamorous it really is.
Oh, it's the least glamorous, line of work.
Yeah, I had visions when I got to a point where I could do theaters. Of having an entourage. I mean, people. I'd have people.
Yeah, you have people.
And every now and then I release a video of me in my dressing room. It's called Me and My Entourage.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's just me.
Right.
And my 4 strawberries, which is on my rider. And my 18 grapes. And I have fruit coming.
See, very important. People will say, you know, because these days you got to film everything, you got to get clips for social, and they'll say, so which team member sets up the camera, and then which team member edits it? And I was like, listen, I've got a 3-person team with me: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and that's it. It is them and me, and we travel together. Yeah.
You probably hear this then too, because I hear you're it.
Yeah, right. Where's your people? Yeah.
I walked in the other night. I was tripping over the 2 suitcases I had with merch in it.
Yeah.
And someone goes, "You don't have people?" I go, "Hey, I'm going to remember the Father, Son, and Holy."
I do. I've got a team of 3.
I got the Trinity here.
Yeah, exactly.
I was raised as an only child, and me and my dad are like,
oh, that's so good.
We're so close.
Yeah,
and I'm going to go see him when I leave here. And I think this crazy old man, I think we might lose this guy. The reason I'm going to see him, he lives like 2 hours away, is because tomorrow he's leaving to drive to California on a whim. He's like, my friends are getting old. I got to get out there. I got to see my buds.
Good for him.
I'm like, okay, great. And he's like, but I got that sciatic nerve pain. So your stepmom is going to drive the Avalanche. And I converted the box trailer with the bed. I put a twin bed in there. Don't worry. I screwed pipes. So if she brakes too hard, I'm not going to go anywhere. But I can lay the whole trip to California. And
This is a Darwin episode.
I'm thinking, will he be my life coach?
And I'm like, I'm going to find my dad on the freeway. Like, I'm going to get a call, and I'm like, I'm going to spend so much time with him this afternoon, because I'm like, but if there was a beautiful way for my dad and his sense of humor to go out.
I mean, that's the way you do it. Yeah.
This is so him. And then he goes, I'm like, Dad, what are you going to do if she gets in a wreck? And he's like, did you not hear me? I screwed pipes.
The pipes. Yeah. No, this makes sense to me.
And
I'm strapped in.
I'm like, Dad, you're a projectile. He's like, no. He's like, I can't. He's like, I'm not going in. He's like, I'm a big boy. I'm be okay. And I'm like,
a heavy projectile.
Yeah. He might take her out too.
Wow.
So
needs to talk to Jennifer and the engineers and their family.
That's right.
I know.
He's living life the right way, though. That's the right attitude.
The other day he called me. He's like, I'm real sore. I'm like, what's going on, Dad? He's like, well, I went up into the attic. And I'm like, oh my God. He's like, I went up into the attic, and I'm taking that Ozempic, and I get a little dizzy. And he's like, it was real hot up there. And I looked up to see if somebody had closed this damn fence. And he's like, when I looked up, next thing I knew, I blacked out, woke up, leg in the living room, through the ceiling.
What?
Yeah. He fell in the attic off the boards, and his leg was in the living room.
And blacked out.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's a special guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
like that.
Yeah. He's an interesting
So
one.
as a comic, I always, when I've done shows for groups of engineers,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
I always open the show with, "I'm the guy that ruined your study hall."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So how does a stand-up comic actually raise? Now you have, obviously your dad was an engineer.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah.
it's-
Grandfather was an engineer,
Okay.
and my mother, her first job out of college was calculating kill ratios at the Naval Weapons Research Laboratory. She was a mathematician.
God, you're smart.
Well, they're smart. She was a Phi Beta Kappa math major. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why'd you screw up that lineage and become a stand-up?
No. Okay, here's the thing. I actually put my stand-up comedy in spreadsheets. So I carried on. I'm dead serious. I've carried on the engineering tradition, and I use that's actually. So when people ask how I did that first hour, that worked pretty well so quickly. I'm like, it's my spreadsheets. Like, you have the conditional formatting that does and they're like, oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
My answer would be, I don't know.
That's the better answer, honestly. You're not supposed to bring engineering to stand-up comedy. It's not the right way to do it.
I've seen your specials. I think it's going great.
Well, thank you. But I very, very, very much see stand-up comedy as an engineering project. I used to be a computer programmer, and it feels the same. It feels like I am using the same parts of my brain. In fact, last night I was trying to explain to ChatGPT, the AI, how comedy works. And I got in this whole thing where I said, well, you have to take the known tension point, and then you can flip point A and point B. And I think even ChatGPT was like, you should be evaluated for Asperger's. This is like not.
Yeah. It's
But
funny you say that. I just went down the rabbit hole of ChatGPT.
yeah,
I got him hooked.
You got, everybody
it's great.
around me, Tim, my agent,
Yeah.
So anyway, I told Tammy, this is amazing.
yeah.
It's like talking to another comic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I put in a premise that I was working on
Yep.
just to see what Chat would say, and came back with 10 lines or
Yep.
something. Would you like me to do a full 3 to 5 minute with recalls and I'm like, you know this stuff?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
But
I
Chad
was
is
like,
80% hacky, though. That's
well, it was it. It was, but
It's
the
good
more,
for brainstorming. Yeah.
but that's it. It triggered
Yeah.
things in me, which is why I hired a writer for this first time.
Yeah.
Was mainly not for him to write material for me. It was to come up with ideas that I haven't thought of.
Right.
And then I can put my own voice to them.
Yep.
But I told Tam, I said, I could see me in hotel rooms for hours talking to Chad, which is frightening to me.
Let me tell you what you can do. This is very exciting. I took all of my specials as well as some YouTube clips that weren't part of specials. I got transcripts of all of them. You can just pay like 25 cents a minute, get transcripts. I put them all in PDFs. I uploaded all of the PDFs to ChatGPT. And I said, learn my style of comedy, learn my voice from these PDFs. Instantaneously, it learns it. So then I said, like, I have a premise here that my husband is cheap and I want to spend money. Write 3 minutes of material on this. And from those PDFs, it really knew my voice. And like you said, this is not, I couldn't verbatim go perform this on stage, but it knows my voice. I mean, it was real close. And so I was able to take that and say, okay, this isn't exactly it, but this is a great angle. I hadn't thought of that angle. This is a good angle. So you could get these transcripts, upload all of your material and say, what are some angles that seem like I could probably
That I've
hit
missed.
that I've missed. And
Yeah.
ChatGPT is great for that.
Wow.
like a great writing partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I sensed. It was like sitting across talking to a comic that works, and
Yeah.
you go, I'm working on this. I plugged in one the other day that I was working on, and nothing it came back with was actually witty, but it was almost like 6 premises
Yeah.
of angles that I didn't think of.
Right.
And the one I actually used was a line it wrote. And I don't know if I did it on the dry bar or not. And I also feel cheap that I used it.
No.
There was a part of me,
Yeah.
but it was on these plant-based things that taste like meat.
Yeah.
And I go, when did this become an issue? Were there thousands of people at the grocery stores holding up cucumbers? Do you have any of these that taste like brisket?
That's good. That's a
Well,
good
that's
line.
a great
That's
line.
a good line.
So that from that, I was able to tag like 4 or 5 things that I came up with off of that. I go, I never even thought of that, but this whole convention of produce people.
Yep.
We
yep.
need more of this stuff to taste like meat.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And I think in a lot of great brainstorming sessions, the way you get your best ideas is someone throws something out that doesn't work, and you say, "Well, that joke wouldn't land because." And it's when you're laying out the because that you think, no, but this tells me what would work, and that's how I use ChatGPT. It'll suggest jokes in my voice or premises, and I'll think, well, that's not that funny because. But then that's where the real, I'm like, okay, here's how we could make that real comedy.
Right. Well, Carolyn's great. She's given me 2 things off the cuff that were, but that's her.
I've made his
Her
set very
mind.
dark.
Her mind, but it's like in my mind would have never went there. Like with the diabetes drug commercial where they're dancing around the fountain. She goes, it's hard to dance with a missing foot. And I immediately go, yeah, there's nobody my age in those commercials because it's hard to dance with a missing foot.
Right.
You know,
But again,
it was though, wasn't that funny?
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good line.
And then you look at the crowd and go, it's a serious illness.
Yeah.
You people are, yeah, we just accept it as part of life now. I got diabetes too. I'm 50. Of course I do. You know? I'm not going to stop eating all the crap that gave me diabetes.
to circle back though to what I was saying, how it's such a struggle to be humble and reverent. And it's always like I'm between a saint and a stand-up. It's just so painful.
Well, but I think, in a lot of, man, I mean, if you read a lot of the history stuff I read, reading about the history of Christianity when I was getting into it, I mean, this is a religion that's very comfortable with darkness. I mean, we Catholics there's a church in England that the monks requested that this be done, but the altar is made out of skulls because they wanted people. And again, it wasn't like the bake sale.
Well, I just heard that. I'm reading a book called The Way, Following the Way. Yeah. And he talked about the monks that he had skulls for a reason, as a reminder that death is imminent. Right. Yeah. That was what they were there for. Right. And I said, to Tam, I go, I'm getting a skull and putting it on my desk. Yeah. They got memento mori. Yeah. She goes, you don't really need to. Just look in the mirror. That'll remind you. We have mirrors. I go, okay, I got it.
That's awesome. So I think that's like with the diabetes joke. It's like, I think it's actually because we are Christians, because we have faith that there's something more, that we can joke about losing a leg to diabetes. I think it's actually more appropriate for us in some ways.
That's a good.
Thank you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Send Jen your disparaging email.
Yeah.
They can go to her.
Missing foot joke. By the way, do you get these kind of emails that you call yourself a Christian and you say these things?
My assistant does. I don't read them. But of course, yes. I have quite a few. Yeah, some Catholics. They are holier than the Pope. They've got it all figured out, and they want to let me know about it. Yeah.
I got one the other day on Messenger from. Didn't like. I do a promo joke. If I do a 4:00 show, I'll get you home before the babysitter hits the liquor cabinet.
That's great.
Yeah, right? You're walking in, she's pouring her first rum and coke.
Yeah,
You're going to thought you were at a comedy show.
It's hilarious.
Jeff Allen's people don't drive after the sun goes down. I got an email from a guy, or a message on Messenger. How dare you? I'm really, really disappointed in you, especially with your history with alcoholism. I wrote him back one reply. I said, look, if I couldn't laugh at my folly,
come on,
and my alcoholism, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't be here today. At some point, we have to learn to laugh at our folly. Right. And he wrote back, I will never laugh at this. And that was it. That was the end of a conversation. I said, I rarely, but I do get those.
Yeah, so do I.
You know what, though? They probably wrote it after their 4th rum and coke. So.
Right. That's true. Yeah, you know it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're sitting there with a...
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Under you. Yeah. Timmy, how does this phone work? Help me with Messenger.
So now I'm really jealous you have an assistant.
Well, she's a friend of mine, and she just kind of helps me. It sounds very official, like with our TL, have you talk to my people? It's just, she's a friend of mine who knows that my mental health would not be good if I read my own emails and comments and stuff.
Yeah, I don't read my own comments.
It's like ministry for her.
A lot on nice stuff.
You just can't. It's
yeah,
just,
no, I think you
that.
can't let people get in your head. Yeah.
No. It's awful. Oh my gosh. When you said my assistant, you're like, well, actually, I was like, it's going to be one of her kids.
We can do that too. We can do that too. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much.
Well, we have a booker, Cheryl, that we love here. She's a chain smoking.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cheryl.
Yeah. Cheryl lives in the villages. She's out of control.
Yeah. She's not going to take anything from anyone. I mean, that sounds like a tough woman. Yeah.
No, yeah. She's been on the comedy circuit for 40 years. And she even keeps Lenny in his place.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
We love Cheryl.
We do. It was so nice to have you here.
What a pleasure.
Appreciate you. And this was so fun. And I cannot wait. I'm going to pick your brain so much after because I'm doing the opposite. I'm going from stand-up into public speaking in churches.
Oh,
so
that's easy.
I'm going to pick your brain.
Please do. Yeah.
You're going to get to the point where you're like, only the assistant reads her email. Okay, you guys, check out Jen Fulwiler. Her specials. You have 3 specials on YouTube?
Yes.
3 specials. One's on Amazon Prime.
Well, they're all on YouTube now.
They're all on YouTube. Yeah. Go to YouTube because if you put in Naughty Corner, like she
to put my name with it. Right.
I don't know if your wife finds that.
Right.
She's not going to be stoked.
Right.
And follow, subscribe, all the things. Tell us how much you dislike us in the comments. Let us know. Drive up the algorithm. God bless you guys.
Who gave me a podcast?